Afternoon everybody, Silverbolt here, back for another Transformers review, going to be doing, as per the title page, another Star Wars Transformer crossover, namely the snowspeeder. Obviously one of the most recognised craft of the Rebel Alliance, very, very famous in the Empire film The Empire Strikes Back, which is pretty much its only usage that you see. Now, the snowspeeder, as it has been named, its correct name is the T-47 Airspeeder, and the T-47 was originally a civilian aircraft that like a lot of the equipment that the Rebel Alliance used was modified for military service. The central systems on the snowspeeder are designed for pretty much fetch and carry. The harpoon gun here was designed to be carried with repulsor lift crates. So they basically shoot out, latch onto the crate, and they could drag it using repulsor lift technology, which was kind of like anti-gravity things. Luke's Sandhopper, sorry, Luke's airspeeder on Tatooine uses repulsor lift technology, so it's a hover device. Two pilots. The front-facing pilot is, well, the front-facing driver is the pilot, and the back-facing pilot manages the cargo. He also controls the in the original in the harpoon gun. Now then, the Rebel Alliance, when they got their hands on the T-47, modified it as a scout craft. It was never really designed of course, its very famous role in The Empire Strikes Back. It was very much designed to be a combat craft against the all-terrain armoured transports, the AT-ATs. That wasn't its primary function. It wasn't supposed to be a combat craft. Though obviously, with it being a military vehicle, it was expected it would see combat at some point. However, the snowspeeder wasn't purely for use on Hoth. They used it. I mean, one of the problems, of course, they had that you saw at the beginning of the film was that they were having problems adapting it to the cold, because Hoth was on an ice planet, so it was extremely cold. And so one of the things they also did with it was that they actually, because it doesn't have shields, they actually gave it extra armour plating. Not an awful lot of use against an AT-AT's forward-facing cannons, which tended to blow the crap out of them. On Hoth, they were first seen when they went looking for Han Solo and Anakin and Luke Skywalker, and they were later deployed against the Imperial landing forces. Now, the primary weapon systems on the snowspeeder itself is the AP-11 dual laser cannons. Sorry, the CEC AP-11 dual laser cannons, which of course are these two on the front here. And then, of course, it also has the harpoon and tow cable. Now, the harpoon and tow cable tactic that was used against the Imperial walkers is credited to Beryl Shippanage and Luke Skywalker. Beryl Shippanage was the one that used the idea of entangling the AT-AT's legs. Now, however, the main person behind the AT-AT walkers was Admiral Veers, and Admiral Veers was actually had it brought up to him by a stormtrooper of, I believe it was the 501st, I'm not entirely sure, who also brought up the vulnerability of the AT-AT walkers' legs being entangled by cables. Veers completely ignored this, but was later learnt, of course, to rue it at the Battle of Hoth. Now, contrary to what the film in some way depicts, the Battle of Hoth was a major defeat for the Rebel Alliance. They did not win the Battle of Hoth. They barely escaped with their lives. They lost hundreds of troops and equipment, and loads of equipment. They had something like 30 medium-sized transport ships. They lost 17 of them, evacuating Hoth. The Battle for Hoth was a decisive victory for the Empire against the Rebel Alliance, and it really did set the Rebel Alliance back for a good long time. The snowspeeders weren't just used on Hoth, though. They were originally deployed on Dantooine, which of course is the very famous rebel base that Leia sends the Imperials to after it's been abandoned in A New Hope. And they were also used on various other planets where they were used in swamps, they were used in deserts, and they were even used as higher altitude air flyers eventually. But their most famous job, of course, is against the Battle of Hoth, bringing down the AT-ATs by firing the harpoon and tow cable into the AT-ATs' legs so they can swing round and cripple them and drop them like that. Because the blaster cannons, whilst the blaster cannons were quite effective at taking out the ATSTs, the chicken walkers, as their fandoms, they couldn't penetrate the armour on the AT-ATs. Okay, now this is the Marvel Star Wars Transformer crossover snowspeeder, and it's very, very accurate to its Star Wars design, as you would expect from a Marvel crossover toy. George Lucas, of course, being very, very finicky when it comes to his little toys and his Star Wars imagery. I mean, one of the things, it doesn't really focus an awful lot on the outside. The main thing that it actually does have, if I can just get it out, is a lift up and put down landing gear. The main inconsistency with this toy when it comes to its transformation, when it comes to its looking of being a T-47 airspeeder, is of course the fact that the pilot, there is only one. Luke's pilot, of course, is killed in he's killed when when Luke Skywalker's ship is hit. Dax, that's his name. I was going to think of his name. When Dax is killed, of course, Luke's ship gets hit. Wedge Antilles, who also, of course, takes place in the Battle of Hoth, his co-pilot is Wes Jansen, who becomes much more of a central character later on in the EU, but doesn't really do an awful lot in the film, which is a pity because Wes Jansen is a great character. Okay, now, the toy itself, as I said, the only main difference with it is the fact that it only has one pilot. Only one pilot seat. It doesn't have two. Like all the Star Wars Transformer toys. Lovely, lovely, lovely out mode. No kibble whatsoever. No discerning features to let you know that it is something other than a snowspeeder. And unlike so many of the other Transformer Marvel Star Wars crossovers, I actually think this has a really nice robot mode, sorry. So in order to transform it, you need to get these 4 panels at the bottom and spread them out. Just for ease of sake, I'm just using a pair of clippers to hook under and pull them out. So pull them out, and then I just do it this way. You just snap them out so they face round the back. Drop one of the cannons. Actually, I might as well take both cannons out. Push them so your back piece are down like that, and then you can pull the front of the snowspeeder down. Push them out, and then the head is just snaps up like that. The legs fold down. Once you've unhooked the casing, it's very, very simple to transform. The legs just fold down, and the arms just turn and fold out. I mean, unlike the Darth Vader TIE Advanced, the pilot can actually stay in the cockpit without losing. So there's no chance. There's very little chance you're going to lose it. I mean, for instance, I have since put my TIE Advanced away, back in a box, because I've got no room for it on any of my shelves, and I've left the Darth Vader piece out. So that's probably going to get lost at some point. Okay, but that's it. Just simply quite simple to transform once you get the hang of it. And I actually really like this one. I think it's really nice. I mean, it's very much a backformer, in that well, you know what the definition of a backformer is. You don't need to explain it because I can't currently think of the words to explain a backformer, but anyway. And I do like it. It wears the orange. It's orange and grey, so the colours of the Rogue Squadron jumpsuits that they wore. Shut up, Artie. And the biggest thing I don't like about it is the chrome face that you can see underneath the goggles round the chin. I don't like the chrome face on it at all. I think it's ugly. But then, so many. I mean, because the X-Wing's got the same thing. You know, the Han Solo I think is the worst in the Millennium Falcon. That has a chrome face as well. The blaster cannons can become handguns. They do, of course. Well, they used to. Do they still? Yes, they are. Drop that one. Spring-loaded missile launchers. Didn't catch that one. Oh well. Personally, if I'm going to give him handguns, I tend to take... I'll show you now. Of course it's going to be stiff. Yes, it is. There you go. I prefer to have short-barreled handguns rather than this, where it looks like he's going to go whaling with a harpoon. It is supposed to be Luke Skywalker in snowspeeder format, so he does come with a lightsaber. At this moment in time, though, the lightsaber is MIA. But I do like this one. It's nice. I mean, I don't have a huge problem with backformers. It is nice. It's got a good degree of posability to it. It sits properly as well. It doesn't look out of place. Unlike the TIE Advance, which is all gangly, even like the X-Wing robot mode, which has got really thin legs, this one does sit into place quite nicely, and it's nicely rounded out. You know, everything's in size comparison to itself, so it is a nice toy. Getting hard to come across these ones. I mean, you can find an awful lot of the new film Star Wars crossover toys, so things like the Jedi Interceptor, the two different types of Jedi Starfighter, but the Republic stuff, well, the Galactic Empire era stuff, which is the TIE Fighters, the X-Wing, the Snowspeeder, I can't think of anything else that was done for it. They tend to be becoming a lot rarer now. The Snowspeeder is probably one of the nicer ones. I do have to admit, the Snowspeeder I think is one of the nicer ones. So if you can pick up this one, if you don't mind the crossovers, this is one of the better ones to pick up. Okay, but that's me done on the T60, the T47, sorry, Snowspeeder. What I'll do now is I'll let you go. So for now, this is Silverbolt with Luke Skywalker Snowspeeder signing off, saying au revoir, adios, auf Wiedersehen.